everybody. My name's Edna Sue McKee, and I'm returning to Cooking with Edna Sue. And today I'm going to do a real special recipe, one of my mother's favorites. It's called the egg custard, buttermilk egg custard. And it has a story that goes with it. I used to be the secretary at Lockhart School, and I'd have 1 hour lunch, and I'd go home for lunch out to my mother's house. My dad would come from the post office on his lunch break, and just about once a week at least, she would prepare this egg custard. She would fix it just like I'm getting ready to do, or either she'd add a little bit of coconut to it, make it a little different. And also this recipe is one of my daughter's favorites. She throws big hints. She'll call me up and say, "Mom, will you fix the egg custard, or when are you going to fix the egg custard?" Susan Gilstrap, this one's for you. So I'm going to get started. And first of all, I wash my hands real good. That's a must. Get you a good mixing bowl. And in the mixing bowl, first of all, you'll put 1.5 cups of sugar, granulated sugar. Just dump it in. And it calls for one stick of margarine or butter plus 1/2 of another one. That equals 3/4 cup. And I melted it for 20 seconds in the microwave. So it's 3/4 cup of real butter is what I use, Land O'Lakes. I'm going to just add that. This is a great recipe. I cook it and my family loves it. Okay, after you put the butter in, you're going to be adding 3/4 cup of whole buttermilk. I went ahead and pre-measured all my ingredients to save a little bit of time. It's got all the good stuff in it. Okay, I'm going to stir this up a little bit before I use my mixer. Okay, get this halfway mixed up. All right, I'm going to add 5 eggs. And I always, before I use any eggs, I always break them into a separate bowl to make sure they are good eggs. So let me go ahead and break these 5 eggs and making sure there's no eggshells in there. 5 eggs. That's what makes it so good. And I guess that's why it's called egg custard, because it's got all these eggs in one pie. So far, so good. No eggshells. All right. I've got that added, and I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to slightly mix them to break the yolks up to make sure they're all blended good before I put them in the other mixture. Had a little bit of eggshell on my thumb there. Okay, I'm going to pour these 5 eggs into my mixture. And the last ingredients are the good stuff. We're going to be using flavoring, 2 different kinds of flavoring. And I always buy the pure lemon, not the imitation. That makes a big difference when you're making a pie or ice cream. So it calls for 1 tablespoon of pure lemon flavoring. That gives it a little pizzazz. And it calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. Okay. That's all the ingredients that you put in it. Now I'm going to use my hand mixer, and I'm not real fast, just I've got it, I'll kind of increase it as I go, but you don't have to beat it real fast. Just beat it enough to mix it well. Smells good. And it's a rich yellow color. I'll increase the speed just a little bit. I think you probably need to mix it for about 1 full minute will be sufficient. Just to make sure all the dry ingredients are off the bottom of the mixing bowl and blended well into all the other ingredients. It's looking good. And I'm going to decrease it a little bit. Okay, this recipe right here makes, you have to get 1 deep dish pie crust. I usually find that pet pie crust, the frozen ones, are really good. You can also make your own if you're that brave, but I always buy mine. That's one project that I haven't mastered yet, is making my own homemade pie crust. It's just, for me, it's just simpler to go to the grocery store and pick up one in the frozen foods. Okay. All right, we got everything mixed together and we're ready to transfer it over to the stove and pour it into the pie crust. Okay, I've got my baking sheet and I put a piece of aluminum foil on it to keep, in case it kind of overflows when it's cooking. It doesn't usually do that, but I just put that in case. And also I have 2 small little custard baking dishes, corning. It doesn't have to be corning, but that's what I use. And these will not have a crust. And keep your eye on these, because since it's so small like this, it'd probably cook a little bit faster. I bring my baking sheet over to the stove like this. It's easier to, when you open the door, to put it in the oven, because the pie crust is going to be completely filled, and it's easier to transport into the stove, is why I got it like this. So I'm ready to pour my ingredients into the pie crust. Okay, I've got it just about filled. And since I've got these 2 small ones, I'm going to split the rest of it about half. It'd probably fill these about halfway up. Okay. That's what it looks like when you complete the procedure. Okay, as you can see, I've got the egg custards in the pie shell, and I've got 2 small custards, Corningware, halfway filled, and so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a preheated oven of 350. And I'm not the best in the world about balancing things without spilling, so that's why I've got this pan. Again, I've got this baking sheet over here. It makes it easier for me. So I've got to look at the clock. It's 3:32, and in 30 minutes I'll check it just to check and see how it's coming along. But it'll stay it'll start baking, and it'll bake for about 60 minutes. But just keep an eye on it, because everybody's stove is a little bit different than somebody else's. And also today, as you can see, I've got on my apron here that Jerry had made for me. It's got my logo on it that's on the videos. When the video comes on, you'll see Cooking with Edna Sue. And we're going to be giving this apron away today. And Jerry's going to tell you a little bit more about it at the very end of the video. So we'll just wait and see how the pie comes out, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, everybody, the egg custard has been in the oven for 1 hour, and I'm getting ready to cut my oven off and take it out. It looks really good and brown on top, and the house smells divine. We'll sit it over here and let it cool. After it comes out of the oven like this, let it cool thoroughly, and then you can wrap it up and put it in a refrigerator. I personally like to eat it warm, but most people like it after it's been in the refrigerator and gotten real cold. So, kind of like banana pudding. And this is a copy of the recipe. It's in detail. That's my mom's recipe. I retyped it and put a picture of the egg custard on there. So I'm sure your family will enjoy cooking this as much as mine loves to eat them. Thank you so much for tuning in on my cooking show. This makes episode number 6, and hopefully we'll get started back doing different ones. If you have any requests for different dishes that you'd like maybe for me to have a video done, just let me know.